What you're about to hear now is a story sent by a follower of the channel. She tells us that she was encouraged to send it because she heard the story of Yamile, the quinceañera, who met the devil in the flesh. And because she wants women like herself and like Yamile not to carry wounds, that even if they heal, they're not always visible. We're not going to reveal her name or too many details.
That's what she asked for, and we're going to respect that.
4 years ago, she met someone she fell in love with, but over time she realized she should never have gotten close. It all started at a certain point, a place where he worked doing things he shouldn't have been doing.
And before you dare judge her,
You have to understand that when you're in love and someone truly sees, listens to, and makes you feel alive, it changes everything. Even if they tell us that's not the right place, we never listen, because when the heart holds on,
it disappears. Why?
he worked at that spot all week, lived there, slept there, and only left on Saturdays, his so-called days off, to return Sunday night. He wasn't from that city, he was from out of town, a young man completely alone, trying to survive in a hot place. She went there for a service, not to buy anything. Still, just a glance and a few words made something shift inside her. She fell in love. Without realizing it, they started talking, and as often happens, the charm covered up the danger. Because that place wasn't just any business. At any moment, the wrong people could show up. The rivals, the Navy, or whoever. She herself says it was a hot zone, and when a place is hot, it doesn't matter who you are. If they show up, they'll catch you. No exceptions. But when you're in love, you think you're invincible, or worse. You think nothing bad can happen to you when you're with people. She started spending several nights with him. She didn't see the risk. She only saw the guy who made her feel loved. Over time, she moved out on her own, and 2 weeks later, she found out he had a girlfriend. Still, she was already emotionally involved, and surprisingly, he was almost living with her. At first, he claimed he was just dropping off his things, but gradually his things became his life, and his stay became permanent. In that small apartment, she began to experience what she calls an old-fashioned kind of love. He brought her flowers, wrote letters, and spoke sweetly. She, now an adult, felt something she thought she'd never feel again: hope. She believed this was her second chance. He told her that he worked to send money to his family, that he was only in that environment to get ahead. And she admired him, she believed him, she took a chance on him, but his days off told a different story. He would visit a house full of people like him, living fast, sleeping little, and always alert. Over time, she realized that he had previously been a security guard, and thanks to other stories from the channel, it all clicked. That's the path for many. A small job here, a little favor there, until one day you just can't get out. He started having problems with his colleagues, and that's when the cracks began to show. He no longer wanted that life. He was tired and scared. She encouraged him to get out, and for a moment he thought he had made it. He quit work, but the peace was short-lived. Gang members looked for him, wouldn't let him leave, and told him to return to the same spot as if they owned his life. When he arrived, he realized it was a setup and called her. He asked her to come get him. Without thinking twice, she found a taxi and rescued him. He didn't know that by doing that, he was putting his life on a path with no easy way out. He hid in her house for a while, where she saw him unravel. He had nightmares, drank heavily, and during tears and drunkenness confessed things no one should hear. He told her how they forced people to witness horrible things, how he had seen 1,000 people, how they were taken, how he was left without a soul after seeing so much. The worst part was he had provided routes and locations to move merchandise and played a key role in operations. When you know too much, they can't let you leave. That's when his true face came out. Fear turned into aggression, stress into violence. And the man who treated her like a queen started treating her like she was his property. He yelled at her, got angry over anything, broke things, lost control. During an argument, he slammed a door, injuring her hand and finger. Later, he slapped her, stole her money, and sold her belongings without permission. Trust was shattered. She kicked him out of her house several times, but he would just stay in a nearby park. And she, with that emotional bond that doesn't break, overnight she would go out looking for him, not to suffer again, but because there were still parts of her that remembered him as the prince she thought she saw. At first, until the news came that broke her, the gang had already found her house. They already knew where they lived. When that happens, there's no time left. He told her to visit his hometown. She didn't want to, but thought of her family. What if something happened to them because of him? What if they knocked on the wrong door? It was that mix of fear and protection that forced her to leave with him in the town. Everything started out calm, but it didn't last long. He became a monster again. She discovered he was lying, sending teeth and money to his family, and seeing other women. She realized she was his maid, not his partner, in that house. They didn't go out, wouldn't let her go alone, and watched her if she did. She lived in that emotional prison for 5 months. 5 months under his control, and also her mother-in-law's, who supported his behavior. He no longer spoke to her, saw her, or treated her like a person. One day, drunk, he broke her head. He hit her with such aggression, as she says, and even then he kept acting like nothing happened. He cared more about a dog than about his partner. Seeing him with another woman pushed her to the limit. That was the last straw. That day, she secretly borrowed money to escape because he wouldn't let her leave. She quietly planned and waited for the right moment. One morning, he hurried out to see his lover. She pretended to be asleep, and as soon as he walked out the door, she grabbed black bags, packed whatever she could, even things he had taken without telling her, and got ready to run away. The last obstacle was his mother. To leave, she lied, saying she was renting a place nearby for work. They let her go. She called a taxi and got in, fear lingering in her chest. She feared he'd return, see her, and ruin her plan. When she got to the terminal and the bus took off, she felt something she hadn't felt in months, freedom, and she cried the whole way. Back home, he tried to get her back and searched for her, but she refused to return to that hell. Even so, she lived in fear for a long time, afraid that he would show up, afraid that the wrong people would look for her, afraid that her past would catch up with her. The wounds on her hand and on her forehead healed, but they left scars. Her finger was never the same again, but the worst scars were the ones you can't see, the ones on her heart. Today, and probably for a long time to come, she hasn't wanted to be in a relationship. She prefers her peace, her tranquility, and her freedom. She prefers not to find another prince who was actually a monster. This was the story of a follower of the channel, a story that deserved to be told. With this story, we can see that the women behind the men of crime also suffer.
Me, before accidentally entering the world of crime, I was a woman who thought she had found a prince, but he turned out to be a monster.
If you have a story to share, send it to me, Cornell, by email or on social media. I'll read it as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching the video. Seriously, it helps a lot. If you like, comment or share it. And if you enjoy this kind of content, you can subscribe. I really appreciate it. See you next time.